Alright, so I wanted to go over how to set up the quick report database and kind of just some basic troubleshooting, because sometimes I'll get emails because maybe the reports aren't displaying correctly. And so I'm kind of going to go over some stuff so that way it kind of mitigates some of those issues. So the first thing that you want to do with the database before you put any of your files into the quick report folders, you want to set up your units table. So as you can see in the database, I have nothing in there. Now you can do this one of two ways. You could try to manually input each of these one by one, or if you have a UOC table from maybe the Rock or something, or if you want to just type it in Excel and just copy it, it'll be hard to do it in the database. So the fastest way to kind of do that is when you if you don't have a copy of the units table, which the units table is labeled like this, if you don't have that already, which it should be on the AKO and Google Drive page, you can either copy that, or if you don't want to do that, you can just hit backup data. Now it's going to make several files in here, but it will make a blank version of your units table. And the fastest way to do that is, now this one's already set up, but the fastest way to do that is to fill all this information out, put all your UICs, all your information, and then save and close it. And then when you come back to the database, when you go to restore, you can do restore data from backup. And what it'll do is it will restore all that unit information. So if I hit restore from backup, all my unit table information is already in there without having to manually go in there. And then any changes that you make to this units table, you'll want to just make sure you hit backup data, so that way it'll save those changes. So that's one of the first things you need to do. And when you input this unit table, you want to make sure that all your UICs, like this, is filled out as much as possible. Retention NCO really doesn't need to be filled out in there. The commander signature block kind of needs to be in there only so that way it fills out the 4591s, it automatically fills out on the 3340. But as much of this information you can put in there as possible is great. If you don't have your battalion, your brigade, and your UICs in there, and your company, then you'll probably have problems displaying some of the reports, because it uses a lot of that information to sort and to kind of format how that data is viewed. So you kind of need to input all that information. So once you have your units table filled out, after you put your UICs, and that's put in the actual database, what you want to do is you want to make sure that all the files are put into the quick report folder. Now the moment that you, from this screen here, the moment that you hit either career counselor or retention NCO, the database is automatically going to make a quick report folder in your computer on your public documents. One of the fastest ways to get to it without having to go and search for it is to just click this button right here saying quick report folder. That will automatically open that folder for you. Now, again, your units table should be already in there, but these are the files that you want to put in there. And the all-stat data, that's nothing you're going to pull. I'm going to go over that later in another video. But these files are going to be pretty much all the files that you'll be pulling in there, along with the DJMS bonus report. Now these files, which all these files are blank, they're just test files. If you want to know how to pull these reports, I have another video for how to pull reports. But these are how the files should be in here. This is how they should be labeled. So again, if you click in here, this is where your files should be saved. If you're saving them in any other folder other than this quick report folder, which is under your C drive, user, public documents, and quick report, if it's saved anywhere else, the database can't read it, can't pull it. If they're not labeled correctly, such as you have on orders report, but all the letters are capitalized, it's not going to pull it. It has to be labeled exactly like this: on space orders space report. All per DB is all capital. RC data re-ups with a lowercase s, and TEB. Another issue that we see is I put in there that it needs to be saved as a text file. So some people will do this. If you do this, if you add that .txt, it's going to run an error, or it's not going to pull that file. So if you have it saved like this, any of your files saved with a .txt, it's not gonna pull those files. So make sure you delete that part. That only applies if you have file extensions shown on your computer, which most of the computers that we're using, they shouldn't. But this is basically what you need at a minimum to set up your database. As far as pulling the reports you're going to need and saving them in here, that's going to be in a separate video, which is going to also go over RC data, how to pull your reserve component information, and then another video on how different features and how the database works. That's pretty much it. It's a pretty quick setup. Anytime that you need to, if an update is pushed out and you want to download it, the first thing you'll do is you'll back up your data. Once it's backed up, it saves everything that you need in your quick report folder. Then you'll close this database, delete it, download the new one, and then when you open it, after you enable content, you'll go up to this restore data. You'll hit restore data from backup, and it'll restore all your information, such as your units table, your bar tracker, all that other information. And then you'll hit update all data to pull all of your PurdyB on orders, your re-ups, your tab. So you'll just click those two buttons, and then you'll be good to go. All your data will be restored. And that's pretty much how the restore works. And again, if you ever have any questions or issues, my email address and phone number are down there. Feel free to email me or give me a call if you have any questions setting up the database, and we'll go from there.